Hi, welcome. My name is Magaly Colimon-Christopher, and I'm the producing artistic director of Conch Productions. And it sounds like there's some music in the background going on, and that's great. Hi, welcome. And you might want to turn off that YouTube tab. That way we don't hear this transmission. So kill the YouTube tab if you're watching YouTube right now, because we're going to hear that for the entire post. Welcome. I'm going to hold up. Want to turn off that YouTube tab. That way we don't hear this. One of our panelists is watching YouTube right now because they can't get off of watching our event, but they're going to get off in a second so we can continue. Awesome! Woo! Teamwork makes the dream work. I'm going to go back to the intro. Hi, my name is Magaly Colimon-Christopher. I am the producing artistic director of Conch Productions and the executive producer, one of the co-writers of Aftershocks, a Tetralogy of Our Times. I'd like to thank you all for joining us tonight for our screening and our artist chat. Be sure to share your thoughts in our comments section, and we will respond to it. All right, and we'll stream your thoughts on the screen, so go for it. Now, as you know, tonight's topic is sharing the narrative as a path to healing the trauma of COVID-19. It sounds serious, but as you can see from Aftershocks, sharing the narrative can be serious, or it can be uplifting, it can be hilarious, it can be thrilling. And these amazing these amazing panelists are going to share their thoughts on how to do that. How can we do that? I'm thrilled to be moderating this chat, and I'd like to start in the introductions by going to Demetrius Blocker.
All right.
Do you recognize that man? That man played Tony, and good for you. How many people want to spank him? How many people want to hug him? I don't know.
I'm a nice guy. I'm not that
bad. I was acting. Yeah, right.
I'll drug you, though. No, I'm just kidding.
So Demetrius is an honors graduate from New World School of the Arts, and he studies at HB Studio. Love HB Studio. I teach there. Love it. I studied there many decades ago. Next, I'd love to introduce you to Nyanda Lisoy. Nyanda is an arts-based researcher and clinician based in New York City. She uses research and she creates performance installations with a therapeutic intention. These installations invite audiences to explore and foster human connections through a guided improv. I can't wait to hear what Nyanda has to share. Next, we have Jean-Pierre Zhang. Jean is a Haitian-born co-founder and CEO of what? Capricare. If you watched our previous artist chat earlier this month, you got to meet Jean. Now, yes, you're getting to meet him again. He founded Capricare in 2009 as a response to the gross inadequacies of medical and preventative health care and the services in Nikai Haiti. As you know, as a result of our chat, Conch Productions, as a result of what I told you in the beginning when I introduced the film, is doing a fundraising drive to support Capricare. Capricare, thumbs up. Yeah, yes. Next, I'd like to introduce you to Rachel LeBlanc. Now, Rachel is a certified life and wellness coach and nutrition therapy practitioner. Her goal is to meet people where they are. She partners with them for breakthroughs and to manifest the lives they desire. As a master meditation teacher, her goal is to provide a platform for people to be still and to reconnect. As a Reiki master, she provides the ultimate experience in relaxation, clearing, healing, and the alignment of mind, body, and spirit. I want to share all that because I need you all to just relax, let this information flow into you, and just get ready and get ready and get ready. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So why this topic? Why sharing the narrative as a path to healing the trauma of COVID-19? I could not have this screening without addressing this, because that was the prompt for me creating this concept of aftershocks. So it was a result of all the fatal shootings of unarmed people, the result of all these incidences that occurred in our recent history, a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, the result of feeling like, wait a minute, how essential am I as an artist when the world is in crisis? Right? And I'd love for you to talk on that topic, on the essentialness of the catharsis of the arts.
It's actually, if I may, I'm considered an essential worker, and I consider myself an artist. And what my natural response was to go to my artistry, but I didn't know how to do it. I had to think about it, because it was such a shutdown of, oh, we don't need that. We need doctors, we need nurses, we need respiratory therapists, we need everything that's a hard science base versus a social science approach. And I said from the very beginning, before the lockdown, we are in trouble if we don't consider our mental health.
Absolutely.
Now, not later, but as this is happening. And as an artist, we can respond to the mental health through the relationship of sharing a story, because it's a relationship, and we're wounded in a relationship and we're healed. So when we start sharing and talking, and art is the perfect platform, in my opinion, to do that. You know, you're releasing as you're writing, and I'm receiving as Demetrius is acting, and I'm holding it, and I'm become the container for what is the catharsis. So that's just my thought.
Thank you. Anyone else want to share?
I would love to share, just wonderfully said, Natardia.
Thank you.
My own experience throughout this period as an artist and not being able to be on stage. I was able to work, great, fortunately, but there were times when I was in my apartment and I was sitting here and I was just like, oh my God, I'm frustrated. And what's wrong with me? My mind is, my head is pounding, and so I would sit here, turn on the music as loud as I possibly can, and I danced around my entire apartment. And I pretended that I had an audience in here. And that was so fulfilling for me. I needed it, So it's important for the audience to understand that we, as the artists, we need to be able to express ourselves. We need to be able to get it out. There's this thing that happens when you connect with yourself. I was having a conversation with someone, and I said to this person, I said, when you're standing in front of the audience, this is the moment when the audience sees you connect to the divine. They are experiencing what that is for you. And for me, if I'm not able to do that, I found myself, like you said, with mental health, going into a dark place, and I had to find a way to drag myself out of that. Even if I did it for myself. Yeah. And it's essential for us to be able to do this work.
Yeah. And I would add too, we are social beings. Just to realize the biggest thing folks was yearning for was to be in touch with somebody else. People got tired of being inside their home. They felt like they were being imprisoned inside their own home. Let's just go outside and get some fresh air. So all of that plays into, you may not have had COVID, had any symptom, but now your mental health to kick in where you just don't feel like you're comfortable within your own body.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that Tadia mentioned that and said, mental health was essential during the early onset, and we really had to recognize, how important that was for us to be able to be in touch with somebody else. So the fact that they were saying for us to just stay home and not be in touch with other people, you just send people into a whole different space is by doing that.
And sometimes that space was new for people. They never had that experience before. And so now they have to figure out, what is this? You know what I mean? What am I feeling? They know that they want to be around people, but they can't connect that desire with this angst, right? Like what this anxiety or this feeling in your stomach, or you know, not sleeping and all the other things that come with that. They just, you know, having to work through that. And as artists, I think, like Demetrius said, you know what it is for you, right? Like, but people that aren't necessarily artists, they have to figure it out. You know, they have to figure it out.
Mhm.
So I really like what I'm sorry, were you saying that's something that's hard, yeah?
Oh no, just clear throat.
Okay. I really liked what you shared, everyone. And Demetrius, you sharing as I'm so happy you're here because you're the conduit, right? You're the conduit for the healing. And, you know, in the past, when there was trauma, societies would turn to classical texts like the Greek theater and mythology, refer to ancient texts to address current contemporary traumas and social ills. But in this instance with Aftershocks, this is a new play. These are 4 new plays, 4 new works speaking to what's happening now. So as audience members and as the performer, because what was it like to experience our today's stories, the traumas of today's events, as opposed to references to ancient Greece when they had plagues, and letting that be a conduit for release and catharsis?
Yeah, it brought me to tears because you know it's a challenge, primarily because you know I've lost friends recently
I'm sorry.
from everything that's happening, and you know just family stuff that's happening too that's related to all of this. So it's very personal for me. It's deeply rooted for me, being able to, okay, going into the mind of Tony and then seeing a friend die from this disease who's my age. It was real. Everything that I said or what I was feeling was real. It's not as if it was just, I'm reading the script and this is it. Oh, I'm living this. We are living this. You know, that's the big, as you said, you know, the difference between the Greeks, you know, they kind of did their thing. We can always go back, but when you're in it, we're like, we're in the thick of it. And I think the best way for me is, as I always said to say to friends, the best way through it is through it.
Yeah.
So it's being there, being in the present. And as I said last night, referencing Langston Hughes regarding the dream deferred, what do we do with it? What happens to a dream deferred? Does it become sweet, bitter? Does it fester and sour? You are the one who decides. So I had to say within myself, how do I decide to deal with this and live with this and be in this space at the same time?
So were you able to be in that moment in the performance, or did you feel yourself pulling away from it because it was so raw and
I will
so...
say, yes. And I want to share something with you that's my personal life. The scene where, if you see where Tony's outside and he's running down the sidewalk, right after that shot, I had to fly to Florida to deal with 2 family members who were hospitalized. So that was real for me. It was if I was running to go get them. It was really real. So there were moments when I had to pull myself back so I can save myself from breaking down.
Yeah.
From breaking down.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So would you, as the audience members, say that modern day plays should avoid addressing today issues? Or, you know, what is the difference in the impact? Because as the performer, I mean, every time I listened to the plays, I wrote, you know, the pieces, but every time the performers performed it, I could hear them echoing my journey. Okay. And so you're the audience. Were you able to have a cathartic moment? How was it different for you experiencing that versus watching a classical text being performed about plagues?
There's an immediacy, and Demetrius, I'm sorry for your losses. I too share a loss at the very beginning of the lockdown. And I'm the type of person that I will just start speaking to people. So I could literally feel in each vignette an experience I previously had and see it just playing out and feeling it and going and having my catharsis. And then I'm a firm believer of you sit in the mess to walk through and get to the other side. And so this was sitting through a mess, and I know there's the other side, and we're getting there. And so this chat for me is the other side, the tangible in that sense. But the immediacy is right there, very palpable, just in the fingertips.
And it's also a way for us to identify triggers, you know, in real time and work through them, like Natalia said. Like, it's an opportunity, if you will, to step away from your own experience and see someone else have your own experience, right? And how are they handling your experience? And what would you do different with that experience now that you see it in real time? You know, are you making the right decision around it? Or, you know, can you talk about it differently? You know, it gives us a couple of options when we get to see these things happening in real time.
Yeah, and I would add, it's really, it makes you lead with empathy, right? Because you hear somebody else's what they're going through, so it might just not create new perspective for you to have a better understanding of their reality, which might not be your reality. And I think that's the biggest thing when you watching you hearing people explaining their situation, that listen, you know, that they had somebody who goes through it, or they had a close friend, like Demetrius mentioned, you know, a person who passed away. So now when you are trying to understand why they may be hesitant to make a decision, then it makes you think twice. Because even I myself had a colleague who passed away immediately, and I never would think that she would have passed away from COVID. And I had literally seen her like 3 weeks before.
Wow.
So it really makes everything become like much more of a reality. I think so storytelling is extremely important in that sense, because it makes you relate, because it makes this stuff real for you.
So you can't pretend it didn't happen. You can't wash it away. It's,
your feelings won't let you.
Yeah.
The stuff that comes up for you when you watch the vignettes, how you can't deny that. You know, my mom was, I think, well, Magaly knows this. My mother was in the hospital for a very long time, 5 months actually, with COVID, and on a vent for 4 of those 5 months, and sedated for 3 of those 5 months. And, you know, again, it's one of those things where I'm seeing this, because I always ask myself, what is this going to look like in history? Like, how is this going to look? And the very first conversation just kind of reminded me of that. Like, what will the kids say about it? Like, what's their experience, you know? And you know, my heart really goes out to everyone who has lost loved ones and friends, and just people that are still here and not well. Like, just, you know, they've survived, they're alive, but they're dealing with the side effects. And, you know, it just seems that there's always something around us to remind us of the space that we're in. Even when we find the time to snatch those glimpses of gratitude and the things that make us smile, and in the midst of all of it, we have to continue to do that. But we also have to honor, you know, like Natalia said, our stuff, you know, and the only way that you can really appreciate what's on the other side is if you sit in it, you know, for right now.
So it's amazing, because I'm listening to you sharing, Demetrius, and listening to you sharing, Natalia, Jean, and Rachel, how might also trigger, right?
Sure.
Because I know I'm personally susceptible to push it away, move on, you know, push it away, move on. So and it's not. And then at some point it comes, And I purposely I put the mature audience warning at the top because I don't know how kids are going to respond to seeing these stories. Right. So, what are some tools that children, like the character that actress Logan Elizabeth Nicole Jones, and T.D. Jones playing the Haitian mother and daughter, what are some strategies that we can share with people on how to deal? And I know this is not a therapy session, but this is the arts, right? This is the arts. And we were just saying the catharsis of theater, right?
Yeah. I will say the same thing I would suggest with anyone that's having just anxiety, panic, fear, because it's a fear. This fear is a little different because it smacks you in the face every time you go outside and see everyone in a mask, or every time you watch the news and they have a ticking with the numbers of people that died today. Like, there's constant reminder to that. But I always tell people, just really honor how you feel, identify your triggers, honor them, feel how you feel about them, but also know, like, there's some grace, there's some good stuff on the other side of that. I also tell people, communicate with people that you love, talk to people, let them know what you need from them, let them know how you're feeling today. You might not want to go outside today, don't get stuck there, but it's okay to honor a day or so, just to not feel like being out and about, especially after watching something that triggers you. It's like this cycle, an ongoing cycle. And I think another great tool is journaling. Just really, it's a safe and honest space for you to really share what's in your heart and spirit, and to let it out. To let it out for people that are accustomed to not speaking their truth, because it's really difficult, because we will write what we won't say. So it's an opportunity to really share and be honest. And then the other thing I say, I'm an advocate for prayer. And I think that connecting spiritually to knowing that, that there's a force bigger than us that we can rely on, sometimes makes a difference for people too.
I want to say that I'm fortunate enough to work, when I'm not working as an actor, I work as an artist in residence with a bunch of wonderful children, wonderful kids. And my approach with them is I start with their breath, this process. Every session that we have, we breathe, inhale and exhaling, and who are you as a person? I take them from a breathing exercise into a sensory exercise. It's feeling, all the five senses. And from there, we go into, sometimes I'll put on a piece of music and I'll say, okay, now I want you to listen to this music and allow yourself to see how it affects you. It can be just, sometimes it's a classical piece or whatever, just choose something. How does this affect you? How do you feel in this time and what we're going through? Listen to the music, and I want you to express with your body what you're feeling right now. That's been my attitude or my approach with children. So if I do say, if you have children, turn some music on. Let them dance.
So how do you feel their response to that prompt is different now than it was in December 2019?
I think for one, children are quite resilient, Children are so resilient. If we really, really sit down and we talk to them and really explain, hey, this is what's happening right now, they take it in. And I have seen a difference. I mean, I can't say things or whatever, but I have seen children who were actually shy during that period, like as you said, December 2019, and now they've blossomed and opened up because I'm saying, hey, this is what's happening. This is your opportunity to show me who you are. Show us who you are. And it's basically through guided meditation. That's what I would suggest or offer for children. If you have children, put them into some type of arts program. That's what we do. Put them in the arts.
Yeah.
I want to share some comments that we've received. Carlene, who played, who played Carmen opposite Demetrius. She says, as an artist myself, I know personally how cathartic the work can be. What's great is that we do not have singular experiences. And so we allow ourselves to be vessels, and we often find relief. To do the work in present time can sometimes be the saving grace that an audience member may need.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
And that's true. That was something she said about, singular experiences. It's important that because we really are interpersonal. Like we're that's who we are as people. So the breakdown of that, we're seeing the results of what happens when we're not connected to one another in the way that we're accustomed to, So, I think one of the beautiful things about the vaccine, the conversation about the vaccine, you get to be around people that you feel that now it's a little bit of safety net, if you will, like for those that, have taken it and feel like, oh, I can be around family now, or I can go around grandma and I can, different things like that. So, so I think there's some silver linings popping up for those that want to participate, if you will. They can do that. There's some space for that.
So we've been speaking a great deal about the American community's response to the COVID pandemic. Jean, do you want to share what the strategy of storytelling, of sharing narrative, how that has impacted the community that you serve in Haiti?
Well, for them, this whole COVID had created a lot more fears for them, because it's like, wow, here we are. Especially the population that we serve at Catholic Care, they are in the rural areas. So when they first heard it, they were like, what? This virus is coming from another country that I've never been to kill me all the way over here.
So crazy.
Yeah.
So crazy.
It's like, but I don't never travel, and it's coming here. So for a lot of folks, they didn't believe that it was real, because how could it get over here? And so for Haiti, it took a while for them to kind of shut down due to the virus. And even now, you still have folks who never experienced symptoms or had somebody who passed. Haiti has one of the lowest rates. So unless they hear someone who went through it, or saw someone who was suffering from it, for them it still feel unrealistic. And even, like I said, even now they still feel it's unrealistic. Even the Ministry of Health had opened up COVID center, and they barely had anybody come through. So
okay, so here. Hold up.
Wow.
All right. I remember January, February, March 1st, 2020. People were like, it's in China.
Yeah.
It's not here.
Yeah.
Remember that? And remember SARS? And remember all these pandemics that were like, and skip to all the states. I'm not talking about New York and California. All the states in mid-America that were like, it's in New York. It's in California. It's not here. It's not real. So it's like, I'm sorry I like highlighted you, Jean, but the reality is we're survivalists.
Yeah.
Right? And if it's not in our face, it's not real.
Right.
Yeah.
Because to own it as real,
Yeah.
What do you do with that?
You need to accept it. It's hard to accept.
Seriously, riding the train to New York, you could get Legionnaire's disease.
Yeah.
Right? Who's going to think about that? Who's going to say, oh, you're not going to think that. Get on the
train. I was okay with not thinking about that.
Right.
But so the trait you express that exists in Haiti is a human trait of, if it's not in my face, if it isn't personal.
They're still doing that here in this country.
Yes, very much so.
In Texas.
I think what it is when it jumps in your face, it's a validation of of your fear.
Right. Yeah, which is mortality. It connects us
that
to
is crazy.
People are really like, when they're connecting to their mortality.
Yeah.
We're youth obsessed. We're
Yeah.
a youth-obsessed culture, and we've learned how to farm that out.
Mhm.
So what we're actually seeing is American culture distilled somewhere else.
Mhm.
Because we young, how do we say this way, and pretty and breathing, breath. The whole thing with COVID is it's that constant suppression. And what do we want to be? We want to be a breath of fresh air.
That's right.
We want to hold your breath. We want to captivate you. We want to do all these things that COVID takes away. No one can say out loud. For those who don't believe that it's real or it's not that bad. So I've met some of those individuals. I know them. They've texted me, and then they've gotten COVID and they don't text me, and then I text them, what's going on? Oh, I'm fine. Got over COVID. So it's a very interesting. They're in Texas. Love them.
Oh, yeah. Well, they don't believe in COVID in Texas, so
so it's all over. It's all over. I was in
everywhere.
Georgia. They tell you
right in my neighborhood.
Yeah,
it's people walking around
next door
without masks for 2 years. No masks.
No masks.
I'm just like, oh.
No face covering, like the fake gator, the fake mask, the gator, anything. It's not. It's no.
Yeah.
And I actually had someone yell at me who was wearing a mask. I'm wearing a mask. I had gloves on because this was towards the beginning of the lockdown, still very about what's going. I'm in a pod, so I'm walking with my pod because the pod and I live in the same place. So, we can walk together. And he just started getting upset because we were in a pod. But as he passed me, he brushed my hand and he held it for a second. Yes. And your expression is what I internally felt. And I could not get out.
He was lucky that it was just internal, huh?
Yeah. Yes. But then it was very interesting because it was a touch, and it was the first touch I had in months from someone I did not know. And I missed it with a glove on. Good thing it was a glove on, because if the glove wasn't on, the gloves were coming off. But it was that I can't. I'm not going to apologize. We're in a pandemic. We're post lockdown. We're still in pandemic. We still need to take care of the other person, not just ourselves. It's the give and take. So as bad as it was that he touched my hand, I felt human because there was a connection, and it just, and I was upset all day because part of me was very happy to have touched somebody.
You were in conflict.
Yes, that conflict. Why are you touching me? Oh, but it felt
and why?
Yes, because it was like, oh, this is what it feels like. Wow. But you're a jerk. But this is what it feels like. Yeah. Yeah. What do you do?
It's really funny. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying the levity. You've got to find. I always have to find the levity and laugh. So yeah.
I remember I had this moment. Speaking of touch, and I I couldn't fly to Florida to see my family and to see my mother. Well, my mother quilted me this really cool blanket, and I was missing my mother terribly. Oh. And the only thing I had was this blanket, so I would just wrap myself in this blanket just to smell her, because her smell is in the blanket. But I wanted to touch my mother. It's something that really, I'm so glad you said that, because there was a moment when I was just craving touch.
Yeah,
I wanted to touch my family. I wanted to touch the people that I cared about. We couldn't do that, and that was
even sound like. Yes. With my mom being in the hospital, it was a time where you weren't allowed to. No one could go to the hospital,
right?
And through God's grace, my brother and his wife worked at the hospital that my mom was in. But having gone from talking to my mom twice, 2 and 3 times a day for 5 months, I didn't hear her voice, and I was like listening to her voicemail messages, just so I could hear her. I listened to messages, or I just really be connected to my siblings and family. Like, we created this core nucleus of just people that love us and that we love so much. And so when I went to see her, I'm like, so she was fussing about something. I just laughed. Like, I couldn't even be mad. You know what I mean? It's like, she's like, why are you laughing? I was like, because it's just
your life.
So good to hear, to hear you fussing, I missed this for 5 months, you know what I mean? So yeah, Demetrius, I totally understand.
But that's exactly what the kids need, is what the adults need. It's a reinvigoration of our senses. And especially the young ones, developmentally, you need constant engagement. Constant.
So the
consistent.
Zoom engagement, is that enough?
No, if I was actually leading right into the lockdown, I was working, I work with the IDD population, intellectual developmental disabled parents who are raising children who have the disability. So I'm helping them parent their child. And I was working with a toddler age, constant. That's what I was concerned when I had to be moved out of the home. She needs constant engagement, because that's how we develop. That's how do we learn how to pick up our shoes. We see our parents, the other adults, our older siblings doing the same thing. So it's constant engagement that we need, and reinvigorate the senses. The same thing. You're not hearing your mom's voice, so that's the sense that's been taken away from you. And as soon as you get a piece of it, you're holding on, because it's pure joy. Same thing with the smell. That's another sense. When we start to smell, it's that we pull it in and you hold it. It's like my cousin, who's the one who passed. I can still hear his voice. I can still hear the nickname that he calls me, and I can still hear two sentences of what he said to me, and his accent, because my family's from Trinidad, and I hear the accent clearly and distinctly, and I don't talk about it, so I think that's why I'm getting upset. And it's
you're sharing your narrative.
Yes, I see him, I hear him, and I feel that last hug. So it's a constant invigoration, and we're embodied. And I practice. I would be considered an embodied therapist, creative arts therapist, and everything's in the body. So that's why art is just. I left the art world to go in that world, but combining the two. So you just everything. It just is how you were moving, Demetrius. I could feel the experience of that blanket, and I can hear the voice, and I can hear John. I can hear the narrative as you're saying it. You feel it. And so that's one of the things we have to rely on, is our senses to keep us flowing. Because Zoom is great. Yeah, I see you. I see Rachel, but you're talking about Reiki, and I'm like, okay, I want to experience what her Reiki's like. So I'm watching your movements to feel like, what would it feel like if we were having a session? The same thing. What would it feel like if I was sitting in front of Demetrius and watching him perform? Because how you're sitting here is so different from the character that I saw. But I see the connection. And then what would it be like to have a conversation with Jean over drinks? That constant senses. I have to keep it going because we're separated virtually. That's how I keep my connection. Because it's just, for the kids need it, the adolescents and the adults. We put ourselves secondary, but the fact is, when we maintain ourselves, everyone gets the best part of us. So we always have to. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful.
That's
So.
deep.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jean.
I believe I was saying that's deep. I mean, I'm following what Natalia is saying, and everything is really clicking and making sense. But that's the reason why the sooner you identify those triggers, those feelings, you have to deal with them, because otherwise they never leave you.
Right.
They'll never leave you.
Or they go into something else that's not like, pull that back.
I just know personally, watching the actors performing and living their experiences and their fears, and all the panic caused behaviors, like marrying someone you just met, and like drugging your friends so that they can get the vaccine, and poking and making jokes about things, about the whole COVID thing, because it's just too hard to take it seriously. Just watching that makes you feel like, oh, I'm normal. I'm okay, because these people are doing the very same thing I don't think I'm doing, but I think I do that. So
I thought about hog tying a couple of people. I thought about it.
So
and it feels good.
Right.
Sorry, as we bring this conversation to a close, would you each like to share, one final statement you have about the narrative and the path to healing that, the key phrase that comes to mind for you? I do know that you said write your journal, speak your truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Ask for what you need. And I would say also, you know, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself, you know. Those of us that have big bleeding hearts, we've been taking care of lots of other people for a year and a half, for almost 2 years now. Like, take care of yourself. And I mean physically, mentally, spiritually.
And what if you don't know what that means?
Call me.
Okay. Oh yeah.
We'll talk about
In the world of the internet things, just go to conchproductions.com. You'll see her bio.
But just a real quick answer to that. Like, so journaling is a great way. Meditation, of course, right? A great way. I think, you know, we can't touch everybody, but the people that are close to us that we feel comfortable with, it's okay to get those hugs and, you know, and just, I always find clarity and stillness. That's a big part of self-care for me, because I get to download instruction and clarity. I get to download those things and move around the world that way. So it prepares me for, you know, for whatever. So that's the way that I take care of myself, is just really, you know, honoring how I feel, being present to how I feel, taking the downtime if I need it. Some people were afraid to be at home. I loved it way too much. So I was like, oh, wait a minute. You know, but yeah, honor those things that come up for you, you know, and it could be different from day to day, and that's okay too, you know. Yeah.
John?
Yeah, and I would say I think the whole experience makes you to appreciate life more.
For sure.
It gives you a chance to recognize who you are even more, because you know, pre the pandemic, we always like in that push, crush mode, going real fast. And now you realize, wow, things kind of slow down a little bit. So it actually, I know for me, it gave me some time to actually be able to, you know, go to the park. I used to go to the gym, but that's just go to the gym, you lift weights. But the park makes you connect with nature more. So you gotta just like, you know, to really walk around and smell the grass and smell, you know, the trees. I actually took one time where I just lie down on the grass on my back and just watch the sky.
Yeah, right.
Watched it. And somebody came over and said, "Are you okay?
Are you okay?"
I was in a whole different world.
Are you in New York?
I'm in New York, yes.
Well, that's what
I was in a different world. You know, but that's what it did. It forced us to really kind of be a little bit more in touch with ourselves, slow down a little bit. I think, you know, our system benefits from that. And now
I love the fact that someone checked on you. I love that.
Yeah.
2 guys came and they were like, who wrote them? Like, "Oh, you okay?" I'm like, "Oh, I am." And it's like I just woke up, you know. But I feel like that's what the pandemic kind of did. It kind of slowed our system down. Let us be able to enjoy the moment. The time is going by so quickly, so we don't recognize it. But it actually did that for us and kind of give us a sense of peace. The same way as we were watching the documentary, we were seeing, like, you know, the streets were very quiet. You know, the birds went over to the stadium, like, where are the people? Where did they go? You know, so it gave us that chance to be still, to just, you know, understand that we are part of a bigger something.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jean. Natardia?
Sharing.
You want to share something about something that we both know about that you haven't shared?
Oh, good morning, COVID. Right. So actually, it was a response to part of it has to do with my cousin's passing. And
can I start with saying she's a CAC grant recipient?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Hi.
Congratulations.
Grant recipient.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And with that, I decided to do this project called Good Morning COVID. So I developed a Dragonfly method, a way to storytell. It's a performance installation, guided improv, and it will be this Sunday. And that for me is self-care, is sharing narratives. So I actually spoke to an essential worker. Her story will be shared, and I will be sharing the story of my cousin, but I will also do a collective story during the performance so that we will be sharing. It's sharing is caring, as they say. So that's this Sunday. It's so weird.
If you put it into the chat, we'll be able to put it
Yeah,
on YouTube and share it with the community. I would like to then ask Demetrius any final words from you on the thoughts of the power of narrative for healing.
Power of narrative. Whatever you're feeling, whatever you're going through, it's valid. So if you're feeling happy about your situation, if you're feeling not so good about it, your feelings are valid, and it's okay to feel what you're feeling and know that it's that you are validated. And whatever you're experiencing, it's validated and it's okay. That's what I've had to do and say, you know what? I feel like crap today, and it's valid. I'm taking a nap.
Valid. That's right. That's
so
right.
Whatever I'm feeling, valid, and it's okay. I'm going to take a nap. And as my mom always says, and this too shall pass.
And this too shall pass.
Thank you. Thank you all for your final words. I want to share something from Deborah Heskett. Did I pronounce that properly, Jean? I think I'm not seeing.
Hesketh?
Oh, Hesketh of CapraCare. And she's saying that the healthcare workers offer sessions covering bereavement and trauma through their crisis community self-care demonstration program. So be sure to go to capracare.org to learn more about the trauma work that CapraCare is doing.
Yeah.
And so we're going to share on there that there's an Eventbrite link. Can you put a website or something so that they can go and find it? The name of the event is Good Morning COVID. So we're going to scroll it on there so people. So this is online or is this live?
Or it's in person, 278 Spring Street. It will be socially distanced seating. So I just need to register so I know how many seats, but the space is large enough so that there's room. So masks are required. That proof of vaccination, we're following New York City in that regard. And Instagram, Dragonfly Method Official. Facebook, Dragonfly Method. And Eventbrite is Good Morning COVID.
Type Dragonfly, so we type it on there so that the audience can see it. This is great. So that just tells you once again, New York City supports the arts. New York City supports arts that heal. The CAC grant, as I said to you earlier, fund was one of the partial funders for this event, as was Queens Council on the Arts. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for. Oh yes, Raisha.
No, I was going to say I found her. I'm following her now on Instagram.
Yay! Thank you.
See, okay. So this is some big virtual hugging going on here.
Yeah.
Thank you, community. I'm loving it. So back to our farewell. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. And I want you to be sure to text and Instagram all your friends and tell them that tomorrow night is the last screening night for our Aftershocks Tetralogy of Our Times. So RSVP for their tickets. The screening is 2:30 p.m. Now, as you know, if you had your link from tonight, your link will be active until tomorrow night. So you can go back and watch it again. Nice. And then it won't be available. So it's an on-demand. This screening is on-demand. And so enjoy. You can share the link with your friends or just tell them to RSVP because we want to build our community. So why not do that? So see you tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. EST. And tomorrow night, our post-screening artist chat topic will be new technologies and hybrid theater in the near and far future.
Nice.
So as you could tell, Aftershocks was a hybrid theater project, bringing in animation, montage, art, and hybrid theater. So really our moderator, I'm sorry.
It was really neat.
Yeah. Thank you. Beautiful. And our moderator will be Donna Blanchard. Our panelists will be Bill Tolles, Marissa Joyce Stamps, Johanne Kesten, and myself. Now, in the spirit of joy, good night, celebrate, and don't forget, pay it forward. Go to capricare.org or go to Conchell Productions. You see the website below. Click on our fundraising drive link. Donate what you can. Support the earthquake relief efforts and the other efforts that Capricare has been launching since 2009. Will continue to launch in Haiti. Big heart. Thank you. See you tomorrow night.
Thank you.